What if I told you the destiny of the 2025 Cleveland Browns wasn't just about one name or one storyline? What if this year, this very moment in time, was shaping up to be one of those rare inflection points where everything changes and nothing is guaranteed? I'm not just talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about identity, legacy, the quarterback room, the defensive throne, and how a single fifth-round pick and a $160 million contract could ultimately decide the fate of this franchise for the next 5 years. Let's dive in. So, please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Let's start with what the internet can't stop talking about. Yes, it all began with a dance move. Something small, spontaneous, even innocent. A quick moment shared in a video posted by Browns rookie quarterback and fifth-round draft pick, Shadur Sanders. In the clip, Sanders, with his trademark mix of confidence and curiosity, turns to 40-year-old Joe Flacco and says, "You ever do that dance?" Flacco's reply? Classic. Definitely not. I don't know if I've ever danced in public in my life. On the surface, it was funny, harmless, the kind of light-hearted veteran rookie banter that gives fans something to smile about in the dead heat of June OTAs. But in Cleveland, in this quarterback room, that moment hit different. It was more than just entertainment. It was chemistry, yes, but it was also the beginning of something deeper, something strategic, something telling. Because beneath that laugh and the thousands of likes and shares that followed, there's a quiet storm brewing, one that's going to shape this season and possibly the next decade. You've got Shadur Sanders, son of Prime, stepping into Cleveland with swagger, poise, and a digital following the size of a small nation. But he didn't come here just to trend. He came to take over. And standing in his way? Joe Flacco, the ageless brain with a Super Bowl ring. Dillon Gabriel, a third-round pick who's been hot and cold. And Kenny Pickett, the wild card, experienced but inconsistent. This isn't just a training camp battle. This is a war for the soul of the franchise. Because looming over all of it are 2 likely top 10 picks in 2026. Think about that. If none of these guys can seize control of the position, the Browns might have no choice but to spend those picks chasing another quarterback. But if one of them, just one of them, can rise above the pack, Cleveland can finally stop the carousel and build around a cornerstone. And here's where it gets even juicier. During recent OTA practices, reports started to surface that Shadur Sanders looked sharp. Not just decent, not just promising, sharp. According to observers, he went 6 for 7 in second and third team reps, while Gabriel stumbled with a rough 2 for 6. It sparked a frenzy online. Fans started asking the question, why is the most efficient quarterback not getting first-team reps? Nathan Zagura explained it. This isn't just about completion percentages or throwing a pretty spiral. Sanders is still in the early stages of mastering the NFL playbook. It's about cadence, command, pre-snap reads, post-snap decisions. Joe Flacco has 191 NFL starts. He's lived this rhythm for over a decade. Kenny Pickett has 25. Sanders has 0. So while he's impressing, the staff is still keeping him in development mode. For now. But patience isn't the same as indifference. Behind the scenes, Tommy Rees says Sanders is relentless. He's putting in the work. He's studying. Grinding. The Browns aren't rushing him because they believe in him. They're investing in his future, not just throwing him to the wolves. And yet, the clock is ticking. Because if Cleveland doesn't fully evaluate him this year, if they don't know what they have in Sanders before next year's draft, they'll be making decisions with a blindfold on. That's the danger. That's the high-wire act. Every practice rep, every preseason snap is part of a much bigger test. A test not just of talent, but of readiness, of leadership, of franchise potential. Meanwhile, the QB room is tense. Gabriel's draft status buys him time. Sure, he's a third-rounder. There's capital invested, but the tape doesn't lie. Kenny Pickett hasn't separated himself either, and Flacco, as steady and respected as he is, isn't the long-term answer. So all eyes are shifting to Shadure. And while fans flood social media with memes of uncles and nephews dancing at weddings, Shadure and Flacco, they're not just rooting for laughs. They're pleading for hope. Browns fans have seen too many quarterback dreams die. They want to believe. They want to ride this wave all the way into September. But let's switch gears. Because while this quarterback conversation is catching fire, there's another storyline building on the opposite side of the ball, a story that's just as powerful, if not more. Enter Myles Garrett. The Browns went all in. A massive $160 million extension, the richest deal for a non-quarterback in the league. That's not just a payday. That's a statement. Garrett is this defense. He is the foundation. And now, he has to deliver something beyond elite stats. He has to deliver a culture. A standard Jim Schwartz summed it up perfectly with a Spider-Man. Quote, "With great power comes great responsibility." Garrett has the sacks, the accolades, the Pro Bowls. But now he's carrying the weight of an entire franchise's defensive hopes, and the Browns didn't stop at just giving him the bag. They gave him reinforcements. Mason Graham, their top draft pick. Carson Schweisinger, a tackling machine at linebacker. Two rookies, two puzzle pieces, chosen with surgical precision. Let's talk about Graham. He wasn't the obvious choice. The Browns passed on blue-chip talents like Travis Hunter to get him. Why? Because they believe Graham, lining up next to Garrett, could become a nightmare for opposing offenses. Schwartz's defense is built on pressure, chaos, and disruption. And when Garrett commands double, and sometimes triple teams, it opens up a highway for someone like Graham to feast. If Graham hits, if he becomes that dude, then the Browns could have a defensive line that wrecks games. Week in, week out. And what about Carson Schweisinger? The kid's raw, still adjusting. But he's a heat-seeking missile. 136 tackles, 90 solo, and the instincts to be a sideline-to-sideline threat. He's stepping into a linebacker core that lost its heart when Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah went down with that brutal neck injury. Joke won't play this year, but he's still here, on the sidelines, coaching, leading. His spirit hasn't left. And that kind of presence matters. This defense is being built on more than just pressure and tackles. It's being built on unity, identity, and expectation. So while the national media might be fixated on Cleveland's quarterback roulette, let me tell you something right now. This team is loading the chamber on both sides of the ball. The Browns aren't just preparing for a season. They're preparing for a transformation. And if Shadur Sanders proves he's the guy, if Mason Graham explodes next to Garrett, if Schweisinger settles in and Joke returns in 2026, this could be the beginning of a new Browns era. Not a rebuild, not a maybe next year, but a full-on, take no prisoners ascent. So now I turn it over to you. If you're Andrew Berry, what's your move? Do you ride the Sanders wave and give him the reins early? Or do you keep the slow burn and let the veterans hold the line while he marinates? And on defense, are you already seeing the makings of the league's most dangerous front seven? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and hit subscribe if you're ready to ride with me all season long. This season, I don't just see Garrett showing up as a dominant pass rusher. I see him becoming the guy, the emotional and physical tone setter for this entire defense. And if we're being honest, that's what we've needed. The Browns have had flashes of defensive brilliance before. But now, We need sustained greatness. And Garrett, with all eyes on him, seems locked in and ready to take that next step. He's not just leading with his play, he's mentoring. He's setting the bar higher than ever. And that brings me to Mason Graham. This isn't just a rookie out there trying to find his way. No. This feels calculated. This feels intentional. The way the coaching staff is pairing him with Garrett, the way Jim Schwartz is scheming things up. It's almost like we're watching a masterclass unfold. Garrett pulls the double teams. Graham, he feasts in the gaps. And what's really impressive is that Graham already looks like he gets it. He's not wide-eyed or overwhelmed. He's adjusting to the speed, absorbing the playbook, and applying his instincts. It's that beautiful moment when raw talent meets elite coaching. And with a veteran like Garrett mentoring him every step of the way, this kid might not just contribute, he could be a breakout force as early as week 1. I mean it. We've seen plenty of promising rookies, but not many who come in this prepared, this poised, this ready. Now let's talk about the wild card, Carson Schweitzer. Look, you can't replace a presence like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You just can't. Jock is special. He's unique. But Carson, this dude brings something different to the table. Something gritty. Something dependable. He's got that non-stop motor, that old-school linebacker toughness. He's always around the ball, always making something happen. And let's not forget, 90 solo tackles don't just show up out of nowhere. That comes from relentless preparation, film study, and insane field awareness. The coaching staff sees it. The players feel it. And if you've been paying attention, you know this guy's already carving out his place in the rotation. He might not be the most vocal guy in the room, but when that whistle blows, he flips a switch. And let me tell you, when a defense has guys like that, guys who show up and grind every single snap, it raises the floor of your whole unit. But here's where it gets even more interesting. And honestly, even more emotional. Jock might not be suiting up just yet, but don't think for 1 second that he's not playing a critical role. From the sidelines to the meeting rooms, he's stepped into this leadership space that's even more powerful. He's inspiring. He's unifying. And that kind of energy, that can't be measured in stats. It's the glue, the heartbeat, the reason this group might finally become something more than the sum of its parts. And that's what's got me so fired up. It's not just about talent anymore. It's about belief. It's about culture. It's about the defense becoming a unit, not just a collection of good players, but a brotherhood. So now here we are, Cleveland, on the edge of something huge. And I'm asking you guys, how do you see this playing out? Can Garrett's leadership truly shape Graham's rookie season into something historic? Can this defense live up to the hype without Jock on the field, just by having him in the building? Is this finally the year where we stop talking about potential and start talking about production? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you're as hyped as I am, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed. Because this ride, it's just getting started. All right, now let's pivot for a second. Because we've got to talk about this quarterback situation. And yes, I'm talking about Shadur Sanders. Because this kid just lit a fire under Browns Nation. Don't think I've ever seen this much buzz around a rookie quarterback in Cleveland this early into camp. Shadure came out and absolutely flashed in that recent practice. I mean, he looked sharp, confident, energetic. The guy's got that it factor that you can't teach. And now, fans are already chanting for him to start week 1. But hold up, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This quarterback room is deep. Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and yes, the 40-year-old playoff legend Joe Flacco. And right now, that starting job is still wide open. Nothing's been handed out. Shadure's got the arm. His college numbers were nuts. 74% completion rate at Colorado, best in the FBS, but the red flags are real too. He's been sacked 94 times in 2 years. That's not just about bad protection. That's about holding onto the ball too long, drifting backwards, trying to extend every single play. And in the NFL, that'll get you eaten alive. But here's the thing, he knows that. And that's why I'm optimistic. Because he's already putting in the work. The mental side, locked in. Browns OC. Tommy Rees even came out and praised him this week for how quickly he's learning the offense and adjusting to pro speed. And I'm telling you, reports from camp say he looked better than Pickett, Gabriel, and even Flacco in that last session. That's not nothing. But Vegas isn't sold just yet. Fan Duels got Flacco as the favorite to start Week 1 at plus 116, Pickett's at Molu 230, Shadure's at Molu 310, and Gabriel's way back at plus 1960. So yeah, the smart money's still on Flacco. And honestly, that makes sense. He and Stefanski caught fire last year. They won 4 of 5 games down the stretch. They got us to the postseason when nobody thought we had a shot. That chemistry, that leadership, that matters. But don't sleep on Shadure. If he keeps stacking good practices, if he keeps picking up the system and cleaning up those decision-making mistakes, we might have a real quarterback controversy brewing. And for once, it's a good problem to have. So I'll throw it to you guys again. Should Shadure start Week 1 if he keeps outplaying everyone in camp? Or should we ride the veteran wave with Flacco and give the kid time to learn? Let me know your thoughts below, and trust me, you're gonna want to stay tuned. This Brown season isn't just about hope, it's about answers. And we're finally getting close to finding some. Go Browns!